The speaker tonight was chosen by the class of 2013, and I know this has meant a lot to him to be asked to share his thoughts with you at this beautiful service. Although you think you know him, let me share a little bit about him that you may not know. Dr. Randy Watts graduated from William & Mary with his undergraduate degree, received his master's at the University of Virginia, and earned a PhD from UNC Greensboro in 2003. He joined the faculty of St. Stephen's in 2005 as the Upper School Dean of Students, and then became the Upper School Director in 2008. He has worked with great enthusiasm with the Upper School faculty over the past 5 years, providing an outstanding educational environment for the Upper School students. Prior to his time at St. Stephen's, he had served as a school counselor, college counselor, and has taught psychology classes in other schools. He attributes his passion for independent school education to his mother, who was the dean of an independent school, and to his father, who has served as a trustee of several independent schools in his retirement years. Dr. Watts is the husband to Nadia Watts, beloved AP English and journalism teacher here at St. Stephen's. They met during their freshman year at the College of William & Mary in Virginia, and both came to St. Stephen's to further their careers. On the lower school playground at St. Stephen's, Dr. Watts is known as Sam and Ben's dad. Both boys have attended St. Stephen's since their fledgling year. Ben will be in first grade next year, and Sammy will transition from the lower school to the intermediate school. Dr. Watts is also known to go run with a cross-country team, and due to his love of rock and roll, you may catch him playing his air guitar from time to time. Please give a warm St. Stephen's welcome to our very own Dr. Watts.
Thank you, Dr. Pullen, for that kind introduction. Friends, families, colleagues, the class of 2013. I'm honored more so than I could ever put into words to speak with you tonight on the eve of your graduation. Baccalaureate at St. Stephen's has always been the highlight of the year for me. It is a beautiful and intimate event, and tonight has been especially so. When your class officers asked me to give the baccalaureate address, I had no trouble deciding what it was that I wanted to say. I instantly knew my topic. The what of the issue was not the address. I struggled with why. You see, I've spoken with you before. Throughout the past 4 years, I've dispensed nuggets of wisdom about how to prepare for exams. When you were younger, I explained the rationale behind why you needed to be a senior to park in a senior parking space. I have dangled cookie break over your heads. I've advised you that merely possessing a polo or Oxford-style shirt does not mean that you are in dress code. I've challenged your assertion that a slow line at Starbucks in the mornings is not grounds for an excused tardy. I have modeled inappropriate dance behavior using my own children's stuffed animals as props for you. I wondered what else there is to say. So I started looking for clues. Who are you? What distinguishes you from other classes? I turned to my advisees for some insight. When asked, they said, "We are a class that loves each other." I could spend time with anyone in my class. Well, at least for an hour. We are not the most spirited class, and I'm not sure that I agree with you on that. I would just say you are selective about the activities that you endorse. And I can't really blame you. I'm not a big fan of country western myself. So there's not much I can say about that. We tend to procrastinate. This is true, but in the immortal words of one of your classmates, procrastination, well, we'll just have to talk about that later. But you do like school. More than a third of you have been here since pre-K or kindergarten. And heck, look at Felipe and Harry. I don't think those guys will ever leave. But then my advisee struck on something. We are individuals. And that was my answer. Allow me to tell you a story to illustrate my point. Spirit Week 2012. The theme of the day was ancient civilizations. When the pep rally began, as is tradition, the freshmen entered first. Glowing in their yellow uniform class T-shirts, they entered as one. Their tightly honed performance included a live reenactment of a scene from Indiana Jones, ornate floats shimmering with color, live narration, and theme music cued to perfection to punctuate elements of their performance. They went so far as to mummify members of their class and entomb them in sarcophagi for what seemed like hours prior to the performance. We could suffocate a member or two of this class in this performance, but spirit points are on the line, for goodness sake. The sophomores and juniors followed, each with a uniform specialty class T-shirt, crisp presentation, and a well-articulated cheer. Then you guys came in. Sure, the class of 2013 would eventually have class T-shirts, but why select this day among all days? To unveil them, why condescend to the tradition of a uniform appearance? Sure, heretofore it has been the habit of classes to script a cheer beforehand, but you didn't really have one. And I know you didn't, because it was my advisory that was charged with writing the script in the first place. And there was no work that was done in my office. In fact, I think that Spence and Torrey simply wrote something on the back of a napkin like a half an hour before the performance. When you enter the gym, you trained your eyes on the audience and judges as if to say, "How dare you judge us?" We challenge you to evaluate our performance. We are not lemmings. We are not trained seals. We are not synchronized swimmers. We are not Happy Meals. We are the class of 2013. We are an integrated tapestry of humanity. We come from around the corner and around the world and are a living showcase of human differences. We are a brotherhood and a sisterhood of individuals. We will not concede to the tyranny of homogenization. Why should we dress the same, dance the same, or even cheer the same? Ladies and gentlemen of the judging table, we will not be quantified. And by the way, you won. You are a collection of individuals whose bond is forged in your individuality. You are a class who are fiercely devoted to your passions. It is in your raw individuality that you find cohesion. And what a talented bunch you are. Each of you has your own superpower. Imagine with me, dear audience, challenging any member of this class in his or her area of talent. Imagine being on the other side of the net when Torrey recoils to send a spike in your direction. Imagine trying to stop a direct shot on goal from Hannah Howell or trying to put the ball past Connor McCullen. Imagine having to return Bernardo's serve or challenge Anita's backhand. And would you want to be the one to tee up after Yvonne, Arjun, and Connor Lynch? Or would you want to be in the swim starting blocks between Alex Brockett and Harris? How about trying to outmaneuver Bryce or JR, or controlling a horse more effectively than Helen? Try hitting the ball harder than Haley, or stealing the ball from Charlie. Yes, class of 2013, you do have impressive superpowers. They are not only in what you do, but in the way you do it. Who among us has Tim's brawn, Herman's heart, Colin's versatility, Cameron's sportsmanship, Gabe's leadership, or Michael Berdusco's team spirit? And who else can sail around the basketball court like Felipe, readily besting our otherwise talented faculty when he hadn't touched the basketball in months? And Spencer and Brian Gentry, you don't need mohawks to intimidate your opponents. Between your blinding land speed and your academic acumen, you inspire more than enough fear. And if there's an alternative sport that you think you have up your sleeve, you'd be hard-pressed to rival the paintballing, rock climbing, weightlifting, triathlon running machine that is Connor McMillan. You have some tough competitors in your class, and your superpowers are in all areas of school life. Try buzzing in the correct answer more quickly than Alex Odell or Shabam. And how do your math skills stand up next to those of Natalie Haschek or Sunny? And how do your Latin skills stand up to those of Ben? And you know that you'd be shut down trying to upstage Brian Elliott or Summer in a battle of wits. We could all learn from Lydia's political savvy, Sam's willingness to take risks, Lisa's pioneer spirit, and Rochelle's unyielding dedication to helping others. We admire Ryan's politeness, Melanie's enthusiasm, and Ashlyn's resolve. Who among us has the perseverance of Noah, the nurturance of Hannah Martell, the grit of Austin, the independence of Amelia, or the effervescence of Alexis? Do you have the warm philanthropic spirit of Shreya or Logan, or the shrewd business acumen of Peter or Devin? Could you light up a stage like Shelby, or take care of business backstage like Nicole? Could you see the world in its complexities greater than Jennifer, or articulate them more clearly than William? Could you dance like Brittany, paint like Sarah Orlando, throw a pot like Amanda, or capture an image like Allie or Melissa Johnson? Try rivaling Monique's sense of aesthetics to Leah's social graces, Alden's calm focus, or Michael Cover's skill with electronics. And there's a reason why none of us have been invited to join the dynamic dance duo of Natalie Marciniak and Chelsea. No one is worthy. And speaking of worthy, who else besides Brendan has the panache to warm up with the tennis team, not even his main sport, in khaki pants, a golf shirt, and sockless boat shoes, and look at you like you were the one out of dress code? Could you rival the ebullience of Christina or the serenity of Emily? Try surviving a debate with Avery on any topic. Who among us can design clothes like Sarah Johnson, select fashion like Laura, or showcase shoes and watches like Harry? And finally, Jay Manson. I'm not sure that I can put into words exactly what it is that you do, but there is no one in the world who does it better than you do. So, back to my question of why. Why did you ask me to speak here today? I believe that it's because in your superpowered, highly individualistic, moderately iconoclastic, mildly rebellious teenage minds, you decided that the best possible way to stick it to the man was to have the man give your baccalaureate address. Touché, my friends, touché. So, now that we have established the why, here is the what. When sending young people off into the world, it is common for adults to give lectures about planfulness, responsibility, maturity. But what is maturity? My son Sam recently told his brother, attempting to bolster his courage in the transition from kindergarten to first grade, "Ben, you know you are mature when you no longer have nap time." Cute as this is, I don't agree with this definition. I look forward to maturing to the point in my career where nap time is once de rigueur again. I believe that a key infusion in the alchemy of adulthood is a periodic pinch of playfulness. Simply put, to be mature, ironically, requires an occasional regression into immaturity. In fact, I believe that being part of an adult is retaining and appropriately exercising that spirit of childish playfulness that has fueled you to this point in your life. So at this point, I'd like to touch on 3 areas of youthful immaturity that I hope you retain. They are touchstones, friendships, and mentors. Touchstones. My grandmother was the organist in her Baptist church and a professional piano instructor. My mother was such a fan of opera that it was not uncommon to be roused by Wagner or Mozart in the morning when she did her workouts. I, like my father, studied classical and jazz saxophone from the 3rd grade and ultimately minored in music in college. But my lifeline to youth has always been the heavier side of music. You see, I was a kid who rolled into high school with Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, AC/DC, or Iron Maiden billowing from the car stereo. And all these years later, not much has changed when I roll into high school, except now that Sam and Ben are singing along. So I ask you, is it immature at this year's prom that I secretly wish to dive from Pier 22 into the Manatee River, thereby cleansing the bubblegum of popular music out of my ears, swim to the shores of Palmetto where Vince Neil of Motley Crue was performing concurrently? Is it immature that I find plausible educational pedagogy in Jack Black's movie, The School of Rock? Is it immature that I consider riding Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster to be a peak life experience? Or that I bought Black Sabbath t-shirts for my children when they were toddlers? Is it immature that I believe that the awesomest moment in all of recorded musical history occurs in the second half of Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody? You know, the part that goes like this. I don't really sing. My point is this: there are things that you do right now that keep you young, but you may feel the need to shed them when you get older. And as long as these are things that are healthy and don't harm anyone, I suggest you think again before taking your Doc Martens and old Metallica t-shirts to the thrift shop. You never know when you might want to headbang to the oldies. Friendships. You know my best friend. I met Nadia Schulman when I was about your age, and I maintain that she is the most beautiful, engaging, and compassionate woman that I have ever met in my life. 13 years of marriage and 2 children later, she still takes my breath away. That's true. That's very true. Now, please don't misinterpret my advice. Just because you meet someone in college who is beautiful and engaging and takes your breath away, I'm not encouraging you to go snuggle up with them. What I mean to advise you is that the same connection, thrill, and love that you have with your friends right now, and the same passion that you will have with your life partner at the onset, does not need to diminish simply because life has given you additional responsibilities. My final point has to do with mentors. Teachers inspire us, touch our souls, and make us shake in our shoes. As you enter adulthood and are no longer required to have a daily cache of teachers, you might think that you no longer need them. But this is not true. I know I personally have more mentors than I ever had in high school, and I suspect that this is true of many of the adults in the room. Class of 2013, I'd like you to think for a moment about the teachers who have made an impact on you at St. Stephen's. For many of you, this impact was early on. It amazes me that 24 members of this class have been here since pre-K or kindergarten. It further amazes me that you can still find your kindergarten teachers on campus. Ms. Roberts is still in the classroom, and Mrs. Kozak can be found on the playground with her granddaughter. And if you've logged 14 or even 15 years of your life at this school, Ms. Murphy, Mrs. Shields, Ms. Hamilton, Mrs. Ewart, Mr. Whelan, Dr. Pullen, and Ms. Thomas have almost lapped you with 25 or more years of service to the school. Regardless of the number of years that you have been here, all of you will think of a teacher who has said something that will impact your life. You've handed in papers at times that you knew were not your best work. You sat in class discussions knowing that any effort that you give to beat around the bush would go in vain. There's a teacher who has made your day with an utterance and who has broken your heart with a disapproving raise of the eyebrow. This crowd has put words into your head that have rattled around for days and have planted ideas that may not grow into your conscious awareness for years to come. In short, your teachers have become an inextricable part of your being. And reciprocally, it is for this reason that we, your teachers, do not feel a sense of true loss at graduation. Let me assure you, there will be tears. Yes, Mr. Flanagan, this class and these students have made quite an impact on us, and we are not eager to see you go. However, ultimately, in our collective memories, you never truly leave. As we have become a part of your permanent awareness, you are now part of ours. You will forever be preserved as youthful, developing, and yes, delightfully immature in the living memory of this institution. You are now and forever will be a part of St. Stephen's. God bless you all.